Alrighty, welcome to another exciting lesson of Pro Mandarin. So you're probably wondering, how long is it to get from New York to California? How many miles is that? How many kilometers? Or what about Shenzhen to Shenyang? Well, I can't tell you that answer, but what I can tell you is the length and the width of this house, or maybe the height of the house, or maybe the height of this pickup truck. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, you're probably asking yourself, can I learn all this Chinese in one video? Well, let's find out. For the very first word or character here is zhe. Now, zhe has a few different meanings. It could be this, it could be these, or here, but we're going to mean it to mean this and these in this video today. And I'll show you what you need to add to that to make it work right. The next character is na. That means that, those, or there. And today it's only going to mean that and those. Alright, so what you need to add on to it is ge. So if you were to say 这个, that means this, and 那个, that means that. Now if you were to add 些 at the end of it, then it would be 这些, which means these, and 那些, which means those. This 些 comes from the word 一些, which means some. So if you take off the 一 before it, and you pair it up with 这 or 那, then you get these and those. Now this next column we're going to have 桌子, which means table, and then we're going to have 房子, which means building or house, and then we're going to have 院子, which means yard, as in the yard around a house, and then lastly in this column we're going to have 皮卡车, which means pickup truck. Alright, now in the next column we're going to just have one word, 有, which has a few different meanings, but in this case we're not going to worry about what the meaning is behind it, just what we're trying to ask or what we're trying to say. And so if that's the case, we're not even going to worry about what it actually means. We're just going to say 有 every single time before we say the word in the next column. Alright, the next one is 多, which means many, but we're actually going to use it as a question, as in how long or how wide or how tall something is, or something like that. Just know that when you add in 有 and 多, or any of these combinations, you know exactly what you're trying to say or what you're trying to ask. So for the next word, 1米 means 1 meter. And then we have 3米, 3 meters. So you can do this with any of the numbers and just put mi right after that, and that'll be however many meters. And then the last word in this column is going to be 5英尺. 5 is 5, 英尺 is feet, as in the English measuring system. Alright, now in this last column, we're going to have 长, which means long. And then the next one is 宽, which means wide. And then the last one is going to be 高, which means tall, or as in talking about the height of something. So I'm going to give you a couple examples here before I get you in some practice. So in order to ask how wide this yard is, you would say, 这个院子有多宽? 这个院子有多宽? And then if you were to ask, how tall is that building, you would say, 那个房子有多高? 那个房子有多高? Now, before I get you in some practice, just know that you can always pause the video to give yourself a little bit extra time to work it out, how you actually want to say these things, and then give yourself some time to actually say it out loud. And then within a few seconds, I'll say what it is in Chinese, and then if you need to, you can also repeat after how I say it. Alright, so for the first question, how would you say, how tall are these pickup trucks? 这些皮卡车有多高? 这些皮卡车有多高? Alrighty. And then how would you say, this table is 1 meter wide? 这个桌子有1米宽. 这个桌子有1米宽. Now, how would you follow that up with, and it's 3 meters long? So this table is 1 meter wide and 3 meters long. Just a little note, you could add in the word and, which is 和, but in this case you really don't need to. You can just follow it up with the next measurement. So how would you say that? 这个桌子有1米宽3米长. 这个桌子有1米宽3米长. Alright, cool. Now how would you say those pickup trucks are 5 feet wide? 那些皮卡车有5英尺宽。那些皮卡车有5英尺宽。Alright, let's try one more before we move on to the next section. So how would you say, how long are these pickup trucks? 这些皮卡车有多长？这些皮卡车有多长？ Alright, before we move on to the next section, I'm going to give you 3 numbers, and this will help you answer 3 additional questions. So the first number is 8, which means 8, 9, which means 9, and 10, which means 10. Now with these 3 numbers here, I'd like you to answer these questions in the comments below. You can do it in Chinese characters, in pinyin, with or without tones, or just if you feel like telling me something funny like a joke, are all acceptable answers. Now, the first question is, how would you say this building is 10 meters long and 8 meters wide? So this building is 10 meters long and 8 meters wide. The second question is, that pickup truck is 10 feet long. So how would you say that? That pickup truck is 10 feet long. And then the last one is going to be, these yards are 9 meters long and 10 meters wide. Again, these yards are 9 meters long and 10 meters wide. So how would you say those things? Now let's go ahead and move on to the next section of this lesson. But before we do that, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out so I can continue to make quality content like this video. Also, I'd like to give a quick shout out to PanPan Bear Academy that is local to Temecula, Murrieta area in California. If you'd like to reach out to them, you can go to panpanbearacademy.com. They teach younger learners an immersive Chinese program as well as after-school programs. They teach math, science, cultural, and many other topics, all in Chinese. So if you'd like your child to learn some Mandarin and you're in the area, go ahead and check them out. Alright, now back to the lesson. Alright, now I'm going to change things up a little bit. I'm going to put 这个有多长 in the front. So what's happening here is like somebody asking you, how long is this? So we're not really going to focus on this question so much, but more of the answers in the next columns. So we're going to start off with E or E. Really the number is pronounced E, but it depends on what comes after it. Then the next number here is liang, which means 2 when you're counting objects. Now this next number is 78. Now for those of you that are familiar with some of your numbers, this doesn't mean 7, 10, 8. It means 78. So that should have helped out also those that have just barely came across these numbers, never learned them before. So 7 is 7, 10 is 10, and 8 is 8. That's the way you say 78. 78. Now this next one is 145. 100 is 100, 40 is 40, and 5 is 5. Or in other words, 100, 4 tens, 5. 145. 145. Alright, now we're going to introduce a few different measurements. We have mi, which is meters, as we used above. Then we're going to have limi, which is centimeters. And then we're going to have haomi, which is millimeters. And then we're going to have gongli, which is kilometers or kilometers. And then over here, we're going to have yingcun, which is inches. And then yingchi, which is feet. And then we're going to have yingli, which is miles. And there's actually another way to say miles, mai. So maybe mai is a little bit easier to remember since it sounds a little bit closer to miles. All right, now with that, how would you say it is 2 millimeters? 2毫米. 2毫米. All right, now how would you say 78 meters? 78米. 78米. All right, now how would you say 145 feet? 145英尺. 145英尺. All right, I'm going to give you a couple more practice questions before we wrap up today's lesson. How would you say 75 miles? Now this one you're going to have to think a little bit because I didn't give you the numbers exactly that way, but you have all the numbers that you need in the middle column to help you put this number together. So how would you say 75 miles? Take a guess. 75英里. 75英里. Or alternatively, you could say 75迈, 75迈. All right, now for the last one, again, you're going to have to think about it for a second. So how would you say 555 kilometers? 555公里, 555公里. All right, before we wrap up today's lesson, I'm going to give you numbers 1 through 10. So if you already know those, go ahead and skip now. If not, go ahead and stick around because you're going to need them to answer the next few questions on your own. And then you're going to leave your answer in the comment section below, just like you did in part 1. So the first one is 一, which means 1, 二, which means 2, 三, which means 3, 四, which means 4, 五, which means 5, 六, which means 6, 七, which means 7, 八, which means 8, 九, which means 9, and 十, which means 10. All right, so for the first question, how would you say 872 miles? And then the second question, 29 inches. And the third one, how would you say 43 centimeters? And 2 more questions. What is the distance from New York to California? Or what about from Shenzhen City to Shenyang City? Make sure to leave that in the comments below as well. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, and haven't 点赞 or 订阅 yet, please do so now. Or in other words, please like and subscribe. Also, if you like this video and you feel you need more practice, feel free to rewatch this video as many times as you need. And if you feel ready to move on, then check out the other videos on this channel as well. I promise you'll be speaking Mandarin fluently in no time. And until next time, 下次见.